2017 Volvo S90, the new, Swedish flagship sedan. The Swedes know long, dark winters, and Volvo has just come through an epic one. Start from investment toward the end of its previous ownership by Ford, then sold off to Chinese automaker Geely, Volvo has seemingly spent more time in the last few years dropping model than introducing new ones, particularly in the North American market. Earlier this year, the bright, warming sun of spring finally arrived for Volvo in the form of the 2016 XC90, the extremely well-received new range-topping SUV that is the first of a new generation of vehicles. Proceeding with its from-the-top-down model line rejuvenation, Volvo now has unveiled its new large sedan, the S90. The S90 originally was due to appear before the XC90, but Volvo management decided to push out the SUV first, the wise move given the market's unquenchable thirst for crossovers and sport utes. Naturally, the two models share their architecture. Volvo's scalable product architecture, for spot and their powertrains, their electronics interface and design language also mark them as siblings. The newer sedan, however, pushes a bit further in the areas of autonomous driving and collision avoidance. Four is enough. The Gothenburg, Sweden-built S90 replaces the current S80 at the apex of Volvo sedan hierarchy. It will be joined by a V90 wagon version, as well even in the United States, although the wagon may be in crossover-ified cross-country trim. There remains the possibility we could get both V90 models, though. Compared with the S80, the new S90 is an inch wider and just over 4 inches longer in wheelbase and overall. The Chinese-assembled long-wheelbase version is in the cards, mostly for that market, but it would be imported to the US, as well. As with the new XC90, the S90 will have 4-cylinder power only, as Volvo has stated that it will not offer anything larger than 4-cylinder engines going forward. As in the XC90, the S90's uplevel powertrain is an all-wheel drive plug-in hybrid, which Volvo calls the V8 twin engine. Its three modes include able to drive at speeds up to 75 miles per hour, hybrid switching among its gas engine, electric power, and a combination thereof and power in which the engine and the electric motor combine to produce 400 horsepower and 472 pounds-feet of torque. The S90 T6, like the XC90, will utilize the turbocharged and supercharged 2.0-liter engine paired with an 8-speed automatic and all-wheel drive. That unit is good for 316 horsepower and 295 pounds-feet of torque. The Sedan also will be available in D5 form, powered by a turbo-only version of the 2.0-liter and utilizing front-wheel drive. That's the same setup you'll find today in the S60, where it makes 240 horsepower and 258 pounds-feet of torque, again working with an 8-speed automatic. Volvo hasn't clarified yet whether Americans will have the options of a front-drive T6 or an all-wheel drive D5. The suspension utilizes control arms up front and a transverse leaf spring out back. The latter is swapped out if you opt for the air suspension, which is only for the rear axle. This is unlike the latest XC90, whose optional air suspension is for all four corners. Automation Alley. Pilot Assist, introduced on the XC90, is upgraded here and included as standard. A function on top of adaptive cruise control. Pilot Assist in the XC90 can steer the car at low speeds up to 30 miles per hour, although the driver must have a hand on the wheel. In the S90, Pilot Assist works at speeds up to 81 miles per hour and can guide the car solely via lane markings without having to lock onto a car ahead. Volvo's City Safety System low-speed forward collision warning and automatic braking also comes standard, and it can for the first time recognize and react to large animals as well as pedestrians, cyclists, and other vehicles. The incremental improvement in both systems can be seen as another step in the road to automated driving, which Volvo plans to offer by 2020. Unsurprisingly, the S90 adopts the large, vertically oriented touchscreen from the XC90. We love its large size, sharp graphics, and most of all its logical operation. The screen is the centerpiece of the S90 interior, which otherwise tries hard to convey a feeling of Scandinavian modernism, with unadorned surfaces and light-colored wood edged in matte silver. The instrument cluster is a TFT screen, the number of buttons and switches is kept to a minimum, and vertical silver blades at the center of the air vents are a new detail. As is the case with most freshly introduced cars these days, The S90 will feature both Apple CarPlay and Android Auto. Outside, the S90 features the same restrained aesthetic seen on the XC90 and the company's recent concept cars, and it's one that appears more distinctive as the rest of the industry moves toward ever busier surface treatments. The S90's concave grille seems to cant ever so slightly forward, like those of old BMWs, while the headlights are dominated by horizontal, T-shaped LED elements that Volvo calls Thor's hammer. At the rear, dual-stacked C-shaped tires create a distinct look. We'll be able to get our first hard look at the new S90 at the Detroit Auto Show in January 2016. The V90 will make its debut 2 months later, at Geneva. Pricing will take a step up from the S80 sedan it will replace. That car starts at $44,390 for 2016. Online ordering should be available shortly after the beginning of the year, with cars arriving in dealerships in early summer.